Alrighty, guys, we're going to talk about the best horror franchise or most consistent horror franchise ever made. So here are the two: Scream versus Evil Dead. Evil Dead and Scream had their latest films come out this year, so let's compare the two franchises. Let's kind of dive right into it. Everyone's saying that these are the two best franchises, or at least most consistent, so let's see what truly is the better franchise when it comes to horror. Neither of these two franchises are my favorite in all of horror. That goes to Halloween. But I'd have to admit that these two franchises are a lot more consistent, and I could always trust when there's a new movie announced, it's going to be good. There's 5 movies to the Evil Dead series, and there's 6 to Scream, and all of them are great. Scream has, I guess, a little bit more of an advantage because there's 6 movies that they successfully done. There's only 5 for the Evil Dead. However, I think the weakest Scream movie is not as good as the weakest Evil Dead movie. So here's the thing with the Evil Dead movies. I think first off, I think the weakest Scream movie is Scream 3. I think the weakest Evil Dead movie is Evil Dead 1981, the original cult classic. But I think that movie's way better than Scream 3. I think Scream 2 is better than Scream 3 by far. I think Army of Darkness is better than Scream 3. I think the remake, 2013, is way better than Scream 3, and I think this new Evil Dead Rise is far better than Scream 3. So, but even though Scream 3 is not the best, it's still a good movie. But I think what differentiates these two franchises is the versatility of the Evil Dead franchise. Each movie in the Evil Dead franchise, all five of them are very different from each other, and they each have their own specific identity. The cult classic of 1981, the low-budget horror flick that had some comedic undertones, to the Evil Dead 2, which is a pretty much straight-up horror comedy, and it really blends it really well. Army of Darkness is a time travel adventure comical horror film. I guess I would be hesitant. I wouldn't really call it a horror movie. It's more of a dark adventure movie with a lot of slapstick humor. Then you have the full-on straight horror film that the 1981 film tried to be in Evil Dead 2013, just it has a bigger budget for this one. And then you have the new film, which is more of a Evil Dead movie than I think is the 2013 film. It's a little bit more campy and slapsticky in how some of the kills occurred, but it also kept the dark and twisted nature of the 2013 movie. So each film has its own identity, and I think any of these movies could be your favorite of the franchise and least favorite of the franchise. When you look at Scream, 95% of the time, everyone's going to say Scream 1 is the best one, and that's true because that movie's just awesome. And I think most of the time, people are going to say Scream 3 is the worst one of the franchise. And I think the reason behind this is because each of the movies stick to the same formula in how to create a Scream movie. It doesn't do that in the Evil Dead movies. They take chances on each movie, and it has worked every single time, and that creates for a more dynamic viewing experience, especially if you were to marathon these movies. I think it'd be a lot easier to marathon 5 Evil Dead movies than marathon 6 Scream movies, because it's the same kind of formula over and over, and it might get kind of burned out on it. I don't think you'd get burned out on the Evil Dead franchise. And now here's the big one. If you still aren't sold that I think the Evil Dead franchise is the better franchise, and you like Scream more, I'm going to prove it right now that Evil Dead is better. And I love these franchises probably about equally. Now let's look at the next level. Let's compare these franchises as a whole. You have Evil Dead, Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show, and Scream the TV show. And the cool thing about this is each of their TV series have 3 seasons. Who has the better TV show? And I think objectively, even Scream fans would say Ash vs. Evil Dead is better. Or at the very least, if they didn't see that and they saw Scream, they would say Scream the TV show is not good. So I think the first season of Scream is actually pretty decent. I liked it. Season 2 of Scream, I couldn't really get through. It was just not good. It was one of the few times I stopped like a horror TV show like that. I just couldn't watch it anymore. And Scream Season 3 was not good. Ash vs. Evil Dead, Season 1, 2, and 3 are just all iconic and great. You can just look at the reviews online. You'll see how revered that series is. It sucks that there was only 3 seasons, and it sucks that it was on Showtime, because I would have loved the 4th season. And it just didn't get the views, because who the hell has Showtime? As a whole, Evil Dead, each of the movies are great, and the TV series is great. Scream, each of the movies are at least good, and the TV series is not. So I think it just automatically makes Evil Dead the better franchise. What do you guys think? Do you disagree? Is there a franchise out there that I haven't talked about that you think is better than these? Are you going to say Child's Play, which I disagree? Seed of Chucky sucks, and season 2 of Chucky sucks. I'm trying to think of anything else. Saw? No. Final Destination? No. Nightmare on Elm Street? Halloween? Friday the 13th? Hellraiser? Texas Chainsaw Massacre? No. What other horror franchise is out there that's as good as Alien? No. I mean, Alien might be close, but no. The Living Dead and Romero's Living Dead series? No. Psycho? Arguably? No, because I think the remake is trash. Even though it does have a really good TV show. I mean, Psycho might be the closest one to a most consistent horror franchise to these ones, because 1, 2, 3, and 4 I think are all pretty decent. Bates Motel movie is not that great, and the remake isn't that great, but the TV show is, I think, fantastic. But yeah, I think Scream and Evil Dead are the most consistent, and I think Evil Dead is the best horror franchise ever, bar none. And let's keep it rolling with Evil Dead Part 6, Evil Dead Rise Harder, who knows, whatever the heck it's going to be called. But that's it for this comparison video between Scream and the Evil Dead. I'll talk to you guys later. Like and subscribe for more.